Alright, y'all, I know it's been a minute, but we are back. Finally, we got a video from Jimmy High Roller. We are witnessing history in the making. A lot has been going on in the league lately. A lot of big time performances. I've been seeing posts like every day, basically, y'all, about guys dropping like 40 plus points, 50-point triple doubles. It's ridiculous, y'all. It's actually getting crazy. So we're gonna check this out. Let's see what.
How do you know when someone is the most valuable player in the NBA? Is it strictly based off of producing wins for their team? Do you factor in the historic significance of their performances game after game? Is it about being the most versatile and complete player? Or maybe it's a combination of all of these things. There's no exact science behind the elusive NBA MVP award and who we determine who it is. But what happens when a dozen different players are playing like the most valuable player, but only one of them can go home with the award?
Because different people have different definitions of the NBA.
Today's
MVP,
video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Your favorite mobile game is back and better than ever. Join in on Raid's expansive turn-based RPG and discover millions of champion
That's what I'm wondering, bro. Is how do you define the MVP award? How do you personally define it?
MVP award was voted on by the players. You would think this method of deciding the most valuable player in the NBA was better than what we have today, with members of the media voting for the MVP. This was far from the case. The voting results of some of these seasons was absolute mayhem. Back in 1972, a young Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was, by far, the best player in the NBA, averaging 35 points, 17 rebounds, and 6 assists a game while leading the Bucks to 63 wins. And as a result of playing like Jesus in a Bucks jersey, Kareem walked away that season as the league MVP. But that didn't stop players from voting like they didn't know what MVP even stood for. Because that season, there weren't just a few players who received first place MVP votes. There weren't a handful of players. There wasn't 12 or 13 or 14 or 15 or 16 or 17 or 18, but 19 players from 16 different teams who received first place MVP votes. But get this, there were only 17 teams in the NBA at the time, which means nearly every single team in the NBA had a player that received an MVP vote that season. And you're probably thinking, some of these players received votes from their teammates or maybe even voted for themselves, but no. The league prohibited players from voting for anyone on their team or voting for themselves. These voting results were completely authentic and completely unhinged. Now this season, there will more than likely not be 19 players.
Imagine there being that many players from... that many players putting up those kinds of numbers and doing those kinds of things. And they're receiving votes from the opposing teams. That's crazy.
Players who receive MVP votes.
That's crazy.
In fact, this season is so loaded with all-time elite talent that there will be multiple players who will have historically great seasons this year, and they won't even get a mention for the MVP. Luka, Giannis, Curry, Tatum, Durant, Embiid, Jokic, SGA, Booker, Mitchell, Durant. All playing at an MVP caliber in what is quickly becoming the greatest statistical season in NBA history.
It's pretty
crazy. If you combine points, rebounds, and assists, here are the combined statistical totals of every MVP in modern NBA history. Sometimes this total is relatively low, like Steve Nash's 2005 MVP. But sometimes it's off the charts,
just points and
like
assists,
Russell Westbrook's record-breaking total of
with his
52.7 in 2017. But on average, since 1980, league MVPs had a total of 42 combined points, rebounds, and assists. So if a player can reach this number, 42, it's a solid indicator that they are on a path to becoming the league MVP, or at least a front-runner. This season, SGA, Ja Morant, Tatum, Durant, Curry, Embiid, Giannis, and Luka are all averaging totals of more than 42. This is unheard of, and it's going to leave a tough decision for the voters of the coveted award. There are currently 6 players across the league who are averaging over 31 points a game. The last time this many players averaged at least 31 a game was,
insane, bro.
Never. In fact, in the last 15 seasons combined, there have been 6 players who averaged at least 31 points per game. Let me say that again. There are as many players averaging at least 31 points per game this season as there were players who averaged over 31 points per game In the last 15 seasons combined,
the
NBA has never seen anything like this. And yet the numbers get even crazier.
That's
offensive
wild,
box
bro.
plus minus is one of the better statistics at quantifying a player.
The number of players averaging 31 a game this season is more than there have been in like the last, what did he say? 15 years or whatever? 10, 15 years?
Offensive impact. In fact,
that's
here are some of the
insane.
greatest offensive seasons since the league began tracking the stat back in 1974. Here's Steve Nash's 2006 MVP season. Here's Derrick Rose's MVP season in 2011, right next to Giannis's first MVP season. But we're not even close to the best offensive seasons of all time. Here's Magic Johnson's MVP season in 1990. Here's Russell Westbrook's MVP
KD.
season and Kevin Durant's MVP season.
Harden.
Just above that are the best of the best. James Harden in 2019, LeBron in 2009, Tracy McGrady in 2003, and Steph Curry's unanimous MVP season in 2016. Steph remains the only player to ever surpass the plus 10 threshold in offensive box plus minus. And this season, he's doing it again. But even better, Steph is currently having, statistically, the best offensive season in modern NBA history.
Wow.
So where does all of this put Steph in the MVP race this season?
Wow.
10th. The man is 10th on the MVP ladder. Now, one of the main reasons why Steph's offensive impact is at an all-time high is due to his mind-boggling efficiency. At this point, it's become universally agreed upon that Steph is the greatest shooter of all time. But this season, he's taken his shooting and scoring to another level. Because at the moment, Steph has the highest true shooting percentage of any player to ever average at least 30 points per game. Or 29 points per game for that matter. Or 28 points, or 27, or 26, or any point per game average even remotely close to his. To find a player who scored more efficiently than Steph has this season, you have to go all the way down to just 16 points per game from Jared Allen last season. But Jared's a big man whose shots consist of 3-foot layups. What about perimeter players? Guys who take jump shots? Well, there has never, ever been a single perimeter player who had a season with a true shooting percentage as high as Steph's is this season. Not at 30 points per game, not at 20, not at 10, not even at 5. It has never happened. This season, Steph is shooting at a higher percentage than any perimeter player in the history of the NBA while scoring 32 points per game. The man is 10th on the MVP leaderboard. So, if Steph is 10th, which players could possibly be putting together a better season than him? Well, one of those players is Jason Tatum, who has led the Celtics to one of their best starts in franchise history. Currently, the Celtics have a net rating of 7.7, which is on pace to being the best net rating the organization has had in its entire existence. This season, Jason Tatum is averaging 31, 7, and 5 a game, which is a stat line that is so absurd that prior to this season, there have only been 3 players in NBA history to achieve it. Those players were Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Kevin Durant. The man is putting up all-time GOAT level numbers. He is 3rd on the MVP ladder because the 2 players ahead of him are on path to completely redefining the standard of an all-time great season. Throughout NBA history, there have only been 3 players to win a league MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same season. Michael Jordan in 1988, Hakeem Olajuwon in 1994, and Giannis Antetokounmpo in 2020.
Luka
Of all
and
the
Greek
accomplishments
Freak, I
a
feel
player
like,
can
are
achieve,
almost in
this
a
might
class of
just
their
be the
own
rarest
this year,
and
bro.
most impressive. And Giannis might just do it again this season.
Oh,
Because
no.
if
Look at
his
this.
record-breaking
29,
2020 MVP campaign
5,
wasn't dominant
13.
enough, he's somehow
Oh, that's in
replicating
2020.
those
Wait,
numbers
whoa, whoa, whoa,
again
whoa, whoa,
this
whoa,
season.
whoa, whoa,
Giannis-
whoa! Slow down. Hold up. I didn't see that it said 2020. Oh my gosh. Rebounds are down a little, but the points are up, bro. Bro. Sheesh.
is
back
not
at it
only
again,
averaging
bro.
31, 12, and 5 a game,
He's back at
doing
it
it while
again,
being
bro.
the best defensive player in the entire NBA. Giannis is playing like a Shaq Tim Duncan hybrid right now, and it's just become so normal at this point that no one's even talking about it.
It's
and
ridiculous.
somehow, one player is having an
you
even
have
better
to
season
mention
than
Luka.
Giannis is.
How is
Last
no one
season,
talking
en
about
route to
this
winning
man?
a second MVP, Nikola Jokic shattered just about every advanced measure.
And Joker's
Jokic
killing
led the
it
league in
in his
win
own-
shares, box
in his
plus
own
minus,
right.
value over replacements, and he
come
set
on
a
now.
new all-time record for the highest single-season PER in league history. Now, the old record was one that stood for half a century, when Wilt Chamberlain averaged a modest 50 points and 26 rebounds a game, which earned him a PER of 32.08. For 5 decades, even the best players the league has ever seen could not touch this mark. Not LeBron, not Bird or Shaq, not even Michael Jordan. But Jokic managed to not only break Wilt's record, he shattered it.
That's
and this
crazy.
season, Luka Doncic is on pace to beating Jokic's record. At the moment, Luka is averaging 34 points, 9
Luka's
rebounds,
going
and
crazy.
8 assists per game. So if Jason
Oh, I thought he
Tatum's
was
stat
averaging
line was
40.
historic,
I thought I
what
saw
does that
something
make
saying
Luka's
he was
stat
averaging
line?
40.
Well, here's a list
Or
of
like
every player
39
in the history of the NBA
That's
who has
still crazy.
averaged at least 34, 8, and 9 a game. That's the whole list. That's it. There's nobody else. Luka is on pace to breaking the NBA record for player efficiency while averaging a damn near 34-point triple-double. And that, ladies and gentlemen, might just be what it takes to
I
win
don't know
an
how
MVP
players
this season.
do that,
But
bro.
what about some of these other players
know
who are
how
having awesome
players-
seasons? Well,
I
to
know
put
they're
into
talented,
perspective
but, like,
just
how do
how
you
insane
put
you
up
have to be
those-
playing
how do
right
you
now to
average
even crack
those
the
kinds of
MVP
stats, bro?
leaderboard. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is
ridiculous.
averaging 31 points,
I haven't
6
even
assists,
heard
and
much
5
about
rebounds
Shea
a
this
game
year.
on 53%
31
shooting
a
while
game?
having one of the highest PERs in NBA history. He
Wow.
is 7th on the MVP leaderboard. Kevin Durant is averaging 37 and 5 a game on career high efficiency.
Wow.
Take a wild guess at where he lands on the
6.
MVP leaderboard at the moment.
6.
Nowhere. Durant isn't even on the MVP ladder right now. One of the
What?
greatest players to ever lace up is in the midst
What?
of one of the most productive and efficient seasons of his entire career.
No,
and the man
bro,
can't even
what?
crack the MVP leaderboard.
He's not even
but
on
both
the
SGA
list?
and KD are doing amazing things on losing teams. What about the players who are playing like the league's most valuable player on winning
Yeah, I
teams?
guess, 'cause
like
the-
Devin
I
Booker.
mean, yeah, the
Booker
Nets
is
are
leading a
doing
title
that, but,
contending
like,
team to one of the
still,
best records in the NBA.
Come on now.
And he's averaging career highs across the board in production and efficiency, putting up 28, 6,
That's
and
crazy.
5 a game. The man was first team All-NBA last season, and he's playing even better this season. But this
Wow.
season is not like any other, because Devin Booker is 8th on the MVP ladder. Oh, but what about Joel Embiid? The beast in the East just put up one of the greatest regular season performances
Yeah,
in
59
NBA history.
points.
No, really. Embiid's 59-point bomb against the Jazz last week
That was
the
ridiculous.
7th best regular season game in league history.
That's insane.
Yeah, that guy is 6th on the MVP ladder. 32, 10, and 5 a game. Literally prime Shaq numbers. And the man hasn't even cracked the top 5. You've never
32,
seen this
10,
before.
and 5?
And neither have I. The MVP race this season is deeper than it's ever
Unbelievable,
been.
man.
What was once considered a historically great season
Can we
may
just give
not
all
even
these
earn a
dudes
player
MVPs?
any MVP votes at all this season.
Like, this is
the standard for what it takes to be the most valuable player in the NBA has reached an all-time high, and it's going to take an all-time season to win the coveted award. Hope you all
That's
enjoyed.
wild, y'all.
And as always, until next time.
That's crazy. Who do you guys have winning the MVP, bro? I think it's early, but Giannis is making his case. I don't know, bro. I don't know. Giannis is definitely making his case. Embiid's going crazy. I think Giannis has... I feel like Luka. Because think about it. Voter fatigue. I don't think the media is gonna want Giannis to win it again, since he's already won it twice, I think. So I feel like if Luka continues on this path, I feel like Luka's got a really good shot at winning it, because I don't think he's won an MVP yet, right? So it's just the voter fatigue thing that I'm thinking about. I think Luka's got a shot for real. But let me know what you guys thought about this video. And this NBA season's been crazy.